I have grown up as a black fella in this country, and I walk in two worlds. I come from a remote community up north on my grandmother's side, and I've grown up in Canberra as well, so completely two different worlds. So having that perspective to see that, you know, affluent life here is not what it is around the whole country, and so seeing how my people have grown up on the remote community and how the ongoing impacts of colonisation have affected them and still affect them has granted me a dual perspective to see things. And Nithan Yunda Mali, I just said my name is Mali in Lador language, which is my grandmother's language. I'm a saltwater woman, and on my father's side I come from the Worimi Nations, and on my mother's side I come from Lador, Yunkel and Yugulda Nations.
My name's Karl Briscoe. I'm a Guugi Yalanji man from the Mossman Daintree area in far north Queensland. And I also am the current co-chair of the National Close the Gap campaign with our Social Justice Commissioner, Ani Oscar. Well, I suppose the difference between the National Close the Gap campaign is that it's a people's-led movement, whereas Closing the Gap is a government's response to the actual Close the Gap campaign. When we look at our social determinants of health, such as employment, education, housing, but when we look at the gap in that, we actually see that our health disparities compared to non-Indigenous Australians there is a gap there in terms of life expectancy. We see our education rates with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children. You know, there's a gap there between non-Indigenous Australians. And in terms of housing, you know, we do see a huge gap in terms of overcrowding. If we take a health perspective, we know that better health outcomes are achieved when our people are involved in our mob zone healthcare. We do support the Closing the Gap national agenda. I think in terms of true transformational change, the four key priority areas, you know, such as co-designing programs, building Aboriginal community control, eliminating racism and institutionalised racism from services, as well as, you know, having access to data. We feel that those key priority reform areas, they will actually assist in addressing the targets. You know, we want to see services where our people feel comfortable to get the best possible health that they can. Within Australia, you know, we've heard the old saying, having a fair go. The issue is we actually aren't coming from the same playing field. We are not equal in the first instance. So it is important to actually look at addressing the disparities that exist in order for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to have a fair go.
What I feel is missing in this country is, I think on a bigger level, is just the pride that I feel for my people. I think that that's missing, not everywhere, but in a lot of gaps around the country, and I want that to be explored and I want that to be open to everyone. Indigenous culture is to share with the world, and that this is something that we can give to our country as a gift.